My name is Stephanie, and I cover all things horror movies, history, and macabre. And I just want to say congratulations on your recent works. And your most notable works to me is Cocaine Sharks. It's one of my favorite icebreakers.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It is a great one. So I'm genuinely excited to be sitting here with you today. So I want to own in on the legacy and impact on Jaws. What has, like, are you a fan of the movie? Do you own any memorabilia? Can you talk more about that?
So I have never seen Jaws from start to finish. I
Oh.
have seen little clips here and there, but I've never watched the film start to finish because I was tricked into watching it when I was a kid, when I was about 8, and it terrified me. So I only technically have watched it up to the bit where they find Chrissy's hand, and then it was too scary. I have read the book, so because the book and the film are two very, very different things. As far as Jaws memorabilia is concerned, I have, and it's here somewhere. Um, I've got it somewhere. I've got a coaster, which isn't particularly exciting when you say it like that. But also, I had to get myself the recent Lego set of Jaws. That I just had to. It was too cool not to. Because I love all things Jaws from a voyeuristic point of view.
Yes.
I'm sort of back here like Homer Simpson in the bushes, just watching from a distance, but not quite watching because it's a little bit too scary for me.
That no, I love that. I actually own the popcorn bucket. It's just the little shark, like the mouth, and you just put in the popcorn. It's I love it.
Nice, nice.
So I feel like any merchandise is amazing. So I know that you kind of answered it already, but do you think that horror movies and movies in general, even though they're packed with sensationalism, can it inspire people to want to get more curious and wanting to learn more about sharks?
Oh, certainly. Whether, for the right or wrong reasons, I think more people are going to be watching Jaws or, Deep Blue Sea or, you name it. There are millions out there. More people are going to be watching those films and coming away and wanting to see more of sharks. Than watching those films and coming away and wanting to be like a shark hunter or a shark fisherman. So, they absolutely have a role to play. For me, the biggest problem in terms of the sensationalism isn't actually the films. The biggest problem in the sensationalism comes from what would be considered, I suppose, the mainstream broadcast media. You get a shark attack occurs, and all the newspapers will run it with, deadly shark attack, Jaws attack. Rah, rah, rah. That's what really, scares people. That's what keeps people's opinion of sharks down. Because when you go and watch them in the cinema, you're watching a film. But when you see it in the newspaper, I think a part of the brain for some people goes, oh, wait, hang on, this is real now. So I think they're a much bigger culprit. And I think that, if you're going to produce a film or a TV series or whatever that makes sharks look badass, then that's cool. That's just cool.
Well, Dangerous Animals, I don't know if you've seen it. I think they did a phenomenal job. I was going to say Jaws, phenomenal job at taking away the fear from sharks and turning it more towards people and how they utilize the sharks. So just wanted to give you a tip on that.
Nice.
So, I know that you are an expert with, marine biology. You're a marine biologist, correct?
Yep.
And with everything what is scarier than sharks?
In terms of uh,
Oh, yeah,
creatures or in terms of being in the sea?
being in the sea, sorry.
Oh, poor visibility and strong currents. They are way, way scarier than sharks. When you're diving, the I mean, certainly if we're putting together we're out there, we're diving. I'm there, I've got all my kit on, and I'm thinking, I've got one part of my mind is thinking, right, where's the cameraman? Where's like, Andy or whoever I'm working with? Because I need to make sure I'm right for them. The other thing I'm thinking, right, what's the scene we're shooting? What do I need to do? And then what's my air looking like? What's, the conditions like? How long have we got? All this kind of stuff. The last thing I'm thinking about is the shark because it's this, in a way, it's the safest thing out there. The shark's fine. So yeah, working in the oceans, the getting into difficulties while diving is a much, much greater concern and a far more tangible risk than ever having to deal with something too sharky. But I'm never a fan of, even though I'm a UK diver and visibility in the UK is just awful, I'm never a fan of low visibility because you never know just what's on the other side of it. And you don't want to, as someone who has stuck his head into the hull of a wreck at 30 meters and found a conger eel looking back at him that had a head the size of a horse, you kind of want to see these things before you're 2 inches away from them, you know?
Yeah, no, that's super insightful. Thank you for sharing that. Circling back to just like dispelling the fear on sharks, right? Where do humans fall on the food chain? Are we even on the menu?
No, we're not. We're not even close to the menu. We're not even the waiters bringing the menu to the table. We're not even the sandwich board outside of the restaurant with today's specials written on it. We're in a different country playing chess with a pigeon. That's how close we are to the menu. Nothing good about humans works for sharks. We are too bony, too muscly. Too dangerous more than anything else. Sharks are very, very careful predators. They don't just rush in blindly, and they're capable of seeing a creature in the water and going, you know what, I'm not gonna hassle that. That's got arms, that's got power, that's got something that could damage my eyes, my gills. It's not worth it. So yeah, we are so far off the menu. We're on the playing chess against a pigeon. That's where we are.
I love that. That actually perfectly segues into the skinny dipping myth. I don't want to spoil too much because I know that you guys are going to be covering that in Surviving Jaws. But there's that scene where Chrissy is wailing her arms. She's being dragged by the shark. Is that really what happens when a shark is attacking or finding its food?
Uh, Kind of tricky to say because there are so few shark attacks. Uh, Not just a year, but there have been so few shark attacks recorded that it's very difficult to say what a classic kind of response would be. One thing that we certainly know from people that are survivors of these, incidents, is that most of them don't even know they've been bitten, just
Oh,
because of the way that the body works, just because of the impact from the shark, how sharp their teeth are, how powerful they are. The kind of grabbing and thrashing thing is very much what crocodiles will do, but it isn't really what sharks do. And certainly for great whites, their tactics when they get to a dominant size, their tactics are to try and attack from below and behind, to come in, to take a big bite and quickly come away. So in, quick bite, quick, clean, fast, big mouthful, come away, and then allow whatever that prey item is to basically bleed out, and then they can come back and eat it in their own sweet time, again to avoid anything struggling and going at their eyes. So yeah, the big sort of thrashing shark deaths, they look good on film, but they don't really exist on paper.
oh my gosh. Well, mind blown. I just learned something new that I did not know. So, kind of owning in on Surviving Jaws, what felt urgent about this project or different that made you want to say, yes, I want to cover this topic?
The fact that we could just have fun doing it. That's the thing. I've said before and I'll say again, the great thing about Shark Week is that while we have science there, we are here also to entertain. It's like a fantastic bit of pantomime, the whole kind of he's behind you, no, he isn't kind of thing. And so certainly for someone like myself, and I don't take myself particularly seriously, getting to be able to reenact these ridiculous scenes and dress up and look like a bit of a fool and do all the other stupid things that I do, it's great because it's putting entertainment back with sharks. It's showing that they're part and parcel of a bigger, wider kind of montage of life and jokes and all that kind of stuff, rather than everything always having to be dead serious. They're out to get you. It's so dangerous, rah, rah, rah. Of course, we're always going to have elements of danger within the shows. We're diving with some of the top predators on the planet. We do it because we're capable of doing it, but it doesn't mean that it's, something everyone should do. You need to know what you're doing. But even
Yes.
so, it should be fun. And if it's not fun, then why are you doing it?
I love that. So what would you say sets this special apart from the other Shark Week specials? I mean, you kind of touched a base on it a little bit, but can you expand on that?
Yeah, I'd say two things. One, you get to see me pretty much naked. And I mean, if that doesn't drive the whale out of your nightmares, I don't know what will. And two, you get to see me act. And as someone that has walked the boards, it's a great Shakespearean performance. It's terrible, really. But you get to see me play around. You get to see me be a fool. That's what I would say sets us apart from anything else. We're just enjoying playing around with the idea of Jaws.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. So your co-star, her name is Michelle Jewell. What makes your dynamic work so well when it comes to this project?
Well, for starters, Michelle is just a fabulous, fabulous scientist. I mean, she knows more about great white sharks than I'll ever know about, beard care. And I look after my beard awfully well. I'm extremely lucky to be able to work with, a true queen of the shark world like Michelle. And as far as our dynamics concerned, I think she knows that I'm a giant bumbling buffoon, and she's capable of dealing with that. I mean, we had a cattle prod on set, so she could just herd me in when she needed to. But she speaks, and don't confuse this here. She speaks very good English, and by that I don't mean she speaks English well. I mean that she understands what I'm saying. And certainly when I'm working with certain American teams and crews, we always get on fabulously. But because being British, we speak with a huge amount of idioms. We use idioms all the time. Michelle, because she's lived in the UK, understands British idioms.
Oh,
So she translates for me to the rest of the crew. So if, I say, oh, it's a bit of a sticky wicket, Michelle says he means it's tough, So that's one of the best things. She's like a personal translator. And we had a complete shutdown when I said to the director once, look, I don't want to teach my grandmother how to suck eggs. And there was just this silence. And Michelle came in and she said, he doesn't want to tell you how to do your job. And oh, right. Okay. Yeah, fine. So,
I love that. Were there any moments during filming that were completely unplanned, but you might have kept it on, like in the footage in the show?
I suppose, and again, no spoilers. We did have a bit of a diving incident in the cage with me. That certainly was not planned. And obviously, so that's in the show. But no, otherwise, when we're doing these things, we are working to, such a full and tight schedule. Everything's mapped out. We know what we need to hit, and we're very, very lucky to the extent that we can go out there, and if we don't get sharks, because that's the one thing you don't see is the amount of time and effort we spend getting sharks to the boat. And if we don't get sharks, the work becomes extremely difficult. We then have to start thinking about, right, when can we come out again? Can we come out later? Can we withstand the weather? All that kind of stuff. But no, otherwise we are a fairly well-oiled machine, small diving in cage incident aside.
Oh, okay. So that's exciting. That's something that the high
Hook and
speed.
tease, hook and tease.
Yes. So you kind of touched base on it a little bit, but you mentioned a couple of difficulties. Would you say that technical difficulties is the thing that makes this hard to film, or is it like the emotional stakes when filming this?
Um, it does come down to what you're trying to do, and yeah, it comes down to what you're trying to do and what you hope to achieve. So one constant issue is working on boats is never easy. I say to anyone, if it's the first time they've ever worked on a boat, I'll say to them, anything you want to do will take 10 times longer than it normally takes. And they're like, yeah, right, whatever. It's like, it will. It will just take 10 times longer because it's not as simple as, oh, we want to be in this position, we want to be over there. And, actually, can we move this here? Because the boat is always moving, it's always rocking. You have to, drop anchor, pull out, everything takes time.
Mm.
So that's always very, very tricky. And then as well, you're in a scenario where we may have I mean, I don't work off a script, as you'll be able to tell from the strange and dangerous way that I dance about on screen. But everyone else has got a script, and the only other person that doesn't have a script is the shark. So we can create this, fantastic idea, this really great experiment, and we can give ourselves the time and space to do it. But if we go in the water and the shark doesn't behave, if you will, like as we want it to, that's that, and that's working with wild animals. You can't change that, nor should you. But other than that, I always get worried we're going to run out of tea. That is a big problem for me. But no, other than that, we're good.
And one final question. Well, the final question is, what do you hope viewers take away from this special? Is it, learning about facts, myth, or even like the emotional stakes? What do you feel like is the most important takeaway?
I just want people to enjoy this one. This is with some of my Shark Week work, we've looked at some really interesting science, some really interesting behavior, and been able to have fun while we've done it. But this time we really are just having fun with sharks, with Jaws. I want people to watch it and giggle and pick up on the little Easter eggs we've got in there. To just enjoy a little bit of homage to a film which is 50 years old that has inspired, or in some cases terrified, a whole generation into learning more about sharks. So if we can, throw our little cap into that ring of pastiche, then good times.
Thank you so much for your time. I learned a lot. It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much for having us.